Hello, good morning, my dear thinkers. There are many hotspots in the world where innocent humanity is at high risk alert, and that too at the hands of another set of humanity. Middle East is the ready example. Who is right and who is wrong in the challenging and contemporary issues of Israel and Palestine? Whose narrative should be accepted or rejected, and whose point of view should be given honor or weight on rational and moral grounds? In the science of logic, the first important thing is to raise the right question on an issue. Obviously, this is itself a challenging task to raise such right questions as are understandable and acceptable to all the stakeholders on the hotspots of Middle East, which are temporarily spreading over a period of 100 years. Let us make an attempt of raising at least 10 fundamental questions. All of you are urged to raise more and more questions in the right way for protecting the genuine rights of humanity in the world in general and in the hotspots of Israel and Palestine in particular. This international movement of asking the right questions would be helpful in arriving at the real truth. Question number 1. Is it justified to kill the innocent civilians, including women and children, who are neither armed nor having grudges against one another? Answer. Certainly, any one country or group of militants who do this practice of brutality falls in the category of terrorism. Any such act of terroristic activity is bluntly condemned for the sanctity of humanity. Any means, any without exceptions, without ifs and buts of complex nature. The fundamental principle applied in one group is equally fit for other group or state. But we should not forget Newton's third law, which states that to every action there is an equal reaction in the opposite direction. Question number 2. If anyone is committing an act of terrorism, would it be justified to counter it through terrorism? Do the international laws and human rights principles permit us to do so? Answer. No reasonable scholar would accept it as a justified act to counter terrorism with terrorism, and that too highly brutally. Otherwise, the whole fabric of globalized world would be shattered. International Court of Justice would become a meaningless institution. Humanity would have to cry for justice. Question number 3. In the 100-year history of Israel and Palestine, one needs to determine who as a state is declared as an illegitimate child of the West or who is illegitimate child of the East. Answer. Truth would brightly be apparent to all of us if we understand the fact who are the original settlers and who were allowed to settle on humanitarian grounds. We need to recall whose ship containing war victims were greeted at the coast of Middle East in 1943 and honorably given place to live as refugee guests. This was a time when all Western powers had refused to accept them. Question number 4. If a guest comes in our house and then asks us to please leave this house, otherwise you would be killed, your property and assets would be confiscated, whose door this host should knock at for seeking justice? Answer of this fourth question. If the entire international bodies, including United Nations, Human Rights, International Court of Justice, become biased somehow or the other and start sporting a wrong and cooked narrative, what that group of legally deprived people should do in the sober language of humanity? What sort of good options are left with them to lead a peaceful life in their own home? Obviously, terrorism might not be a right option, but we will definitely have to define and design alternative options rationally that could be shown to them for permanent solution of the problem. How many people will have to be killed to prove the wrong fact that migrant guests are the actual residents of Israel? Question number 5. Do we think that by cooking wrong narratives on the complicated issue of Palestine, some reasonable solution is possible? Should we believe that the intellectuals working and studying in the world top-class universities are foolishly innocent to accept fabricated stories? Answer. History is witness of the fact that by framing irrational strategy based on biases and brutality, some short-term benefits may be gained, but long-term solution remains pending and the issue becomes more complex down the road in the years to come. The innocent civilians of Israel, Gaza, and West Bank may be slaughtered on the plea of cooked narratives by bombarding and butchering, but it would be next to impossible to assassinate the rational minds of our thinking humanity who have been trained academically, professionally, and socially for seeking right answers since centuries and generations. Question number 6. Should we make a decision once for all at international level that the life of a particular person following a particular race and religion is more precious, while the life of any other ordinary race and religion does not count? Answer. Implicitly, this is exactly what is happening in the Middle East. Perhaps this dual policy is also fairly acceptable to the leaders of sober world. Perhaps the so-called intellectuals and media elites are being trained for selling this narrative. We should be bold and very open in raising the point, and thus make a foolproof configuration that one special and superhuman of Israel would be equivalent to, say, for example, 10,000 ordinary Palestinians. At least the non-Israelis should realize their worth once for all, so that the crisis could be managed by accepting this bitter reality. Question number 7. Would it be considered as a sort of racism and apartheid policy if Jews are passed through a different channel in Heathrow International Airport than that of other Europeans? Answer. Surely, this would be apartheid on the basis of race and religion, which is not acceptable to any one of us. But the apartheid laws should be consistently condemned in all the airports in the world, not merely in Heathrow. Obviously, if any nation state is not observing this basic principle, it loses its moral standing to be a sober nation. Question number 8. Why some of the talented Jews are accepting this fact that Israel was born out of Jewish terrorism and there are illegal settlements of Jews in the region? Answer. Because they have substantially been trained and groomed in terms of honesty and integrity. Anyone who is observing good moral values would be wise enough to speak the truth. Truth actually crosses the boundaries of religion. Question number 9. Can it be justified to argue for a ceasefire option of Gaza and seeking solution by conquest, or we are really interested in peaceful solution of the issue? Answer. This is a very tough question, the answer of which is given by a renowned parliamentarian Jew of the Great Britain, that the conduct and policies of Israel are unacceptable. There should be armed bans on Israel. Question number 10. During the last 10 decades, who killed whom and how much loss of life and material has been happened in the Middle East? Answer. This is very simple to trace the facts and figures. At the Palestinian side, the loss is many times higher than what is the case at the side of Israel. UK MP said it is time for peace. The real peace, not the solution by conquest, which is Israelis' real goal, but which is impossible for them to achieve. They are not simply war criminals. They are fools as well, he added. So I urge you all, please raise more and more right questions so that we can arrive at bright answers. Thank you very much and goodbye.